What's up, everybody? This is NBA at the Bar, and we're your host. I'm TA.
And this is G Money.
And we are brought to you by ATB Media Network. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm super fired up, super excited. We just got finished with the first NBA in-season tournament. It was absolutely phenomenal. Our Lakers absolutely crushed it, and we're here to celebrate. Like I told you, ladies and gentlemen, we've saved this for this night right here. When the championship is done, we're going to pop this NBA branded VSOP Hennessy bottle. And guess what? I got my man G Money here.
I'm going to drink yak today.
Yes. ain't no scotch. He's drinking the yak. So super fired up about that. And before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, do me a quick favor. I need you to like, I need you to download, and I need you to subscribe for me. So with that being said, let's go and pop this bottle, G Money.
Yes, indeed. The victory chalice.
The victory. Now, no matter who was going to win this bad boy, we was going to pop this today.
We were going to win,
but it's
no
a
matter
very
what.
special popping for tonight because the Lakers, as you all know, we are from Los Angeles, California. And so we grew up on the Lakers, love the Lakers, and we are super excited for the Lakers and for my man LeBron James to add another trophy to the altar.
Yes, indeed. Well, on that note, man, we'd go ahead and ching my glass because I'm already ready to sip.
Boom.
Boom.
So let's talk about this. We got a chance to watch this game together and got a chance to see the Lakers pull it out. And there were some nervous moments. But before we talk specifically about this game, what was your overall view now that we've had an opportunity to see the entire tournament together?
You know, I would say Silverman, right? That's the commissioner's name. I got it right this time. Hallelujah. So I think that they just put on a phenomenal show. I was, like many, was very skeptical, talked about it in previous episodes, like, this is a little gimmicky, so on and so forth. But, you know, with each round kind of, you know, going past from the preliminaries to the official knockout rounds, it just got more and more exciting. It made you feel like this was almost like a NCAA tournament vibe to it. And I loved that. That is something that has not existed in the NBA. And they took like just the pure basketball lovers of it. This is not for the championship, the finality, but this created that vibe of the NCAA tournament. And I didn't think that you would see that in the pros. And it was amazing. I loved it. I loved everything from the different uniforms to the different courts. I mean, they really put all the pageantry and bows and whistles and around it. And I'm like, well, go on. All right, NBA, you got something here.
You know, what I love about it is they actually delivered on what their vision was.
Yeah.
You know, and some of the intangibles that the tournament brought were, for example, bringing out stars that were kind of hidden from the public before. You got to remember Halliburton, who became a star in this tournament. He didn't have a great final game, the championship game, but overall, he became a star right in front of our eyes. This was an individual that never had a nationally televised game in his 4-year, up to this point, in his 3.5, 4-year career. Had never been on TNT, had never had a national game.
Hell, they talked about him for 2 days
for 2 days straight
after beating Milwaukee.
Correct. And I love that. I love that we saw teams that might not make the playoffs, but sit over here and fought to get into this tournament and get into the knockout rounds, like the Knicks. I think the Kings are right
Sacramento
there to get into
Kings,
the playoffs.
yeah.
But I really love the Knicks getting in there and getting into the mix, the Pelicans getting in there and getting into the mix, because those players, those are teams that are burgeoning and they have players that are up and coming. And so they need that seasoning. They need to feel these big time moments to get to the next level. And I believe this tournament provided that.
Absolutely.
So overall, just like you said, the courts looking gorgeous. I actually thought the courts looked weird. But when you got a chance to sit back and you got a greater understanding of what the representation was, it had to look different than what the regular season, because this is completely different. The jerseys, the uniforms had to look different. I love the uniforms. They made it more city-centric. So I think the NBA just did a phenomenal job.
They hit it out the park. You know, we're giving an analogy to another sport. in terms of baseball, they hit a home run with this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you just highlighted something that I wasn't even going to talk about. The exposure that it gave to the marginal to, you know, up and coming superstars really gets highlighted in what we saw, because now, so if I'm a guy who plays for the Orlando Magic or the Portland Trailblazers or something like that, if next year I want to get on that stage because now I'm going to be on primetime television, and if I'm able to get to Vegas, you know what? They're going to talk about me too. And that breeds a different level of competition within the league. So on all accounts, you know, you just got to say bravo. Bravo, commish.
But you know what I love the most is the urgency that it brought to the game. Because again, in this first half of the season, it's just no urgency. These 82 game long seasons are long seasons, just like baseball. When you're talking about 140 games or whatever it is,
that ridiculous
82 games is a lot of games to play. And so the first half of that season did lack, or it definitely lacked urgency. And what this did is bring in a sense of urgency. The second half is already built in because people are trying to make the playoffs. But in this first half, it wasn't there in the past. And so
they cared.
And so again, being a previous ball boy, I remember games in this time, and that it was just them going through the motions. These players weren't going through the motions, and the ones that didn't buy in, the ones that are like, foo-fooed it because they didn't realize what it was going to actually be, you know, come this time, were the ones that just simply didn't put enough effort in to make the tournament. And I guarantee you next year it's going to be even better.
I agree. This was an experiment. And it was an experiment that went right. And they said, oh, okay, whoever, you know, was in the lab that concocted this and said it to Silverman and said, oh, okay, we should do this. Guess what? That guy needs a raise, because he just made the league that much more exciting. And I know that they're trying to compete with other sports that are very prominent in America. And this, by far and away, made the middle part of the season something to watch and something to look forward to. And, you know, I mean, of course, our boys, the Lakers, they came with it. It seemed like LeBron just said, damn it, I'm going to put my cape on. I normally do this in April. But
and I have to sit over and give myself a pat on the back. I told you that this man was going to come with it, that he was going to sit over here and go berserk, and he was going to ensure that they win. One, because this man thinks about legacy. And we all know he's never going to be able to match Michael Jordan in terms of number of rings, but we all know that he's of the same ilk in terms of quality of player, in terms of what the history is going to be. And so being the very first champion, the very first MVP of this tournament, this will go down in history. 50 years from now, they'll still be talking about LeBron and the Lakers winning this inaugural
it'll be just a little blurb when they start talking about the history of the tournament and who was the first one to win. You know, trivia, riddle me this. Oh yeah, it was LeBron James, and he was the MVP, and he had these amount of stats, and he had 4 and 4 of 3-pointers in this game, shot 60%, 63%, I think, from 3 in all the tournament games. I mean, first of all, we all know he ain't a 3-point shooter. So, I mean, good Lord. Yeah, I mean, the man went off.
He went off, and it was exciting to see. But you know what was also exciting to see is AD having that quintessential monster game in a final championship game that usually we still see him wilt, actually exploded for a 40-20 game. You love to see it. He played with passion. You know, he still got nicked up. You know, I was a little bit sideways
can't have
watching
a game
that
without falling down and looking like he almost got. I digress. You know, I mean, I got to give him his love. You know, I've been very critical of Anthony Davis, and rightfully so, because he is great enough to where when he doesn't perform, you know, he deserves a level of criticism. But and conversely, he showed his mettle.
He showed his mettle
in the championship game. I mean, 40 and 20, and I don't think he might have had 4 blocks. I mean, come on.
I mean, defensively, he knocked it out of the park. Offensively, he came with it. He was aggressive for the vast majority of the game, and then again with those rebounds, he was playing like a big dog. You know,
Mm-hmm.
another player that really stepped up today, especially in the first half. Um, I would say I'm proud of him. Is Austin.
Yes.
Austin played a hell of a game. Had what,
Hillbilly
20?
Kobe.
Hillbilly Kobe.
Love that dude.
What did he finish up with? 24,
I
26
think,
points?
it was something around there.
Yeah.
24, 26.
But he had 20 in the first half, and you think, okay, well, he didn't show up in the second half because the vast majority of his points were in the first half. But what he did is he was able to keep the Lakers ahead of the Pacers, even when they sat over here and made those drives to get close and could possibly overtake the Lakers. He was always that link that stood over and kept him ahead. He hit the right shots. He was a very aggressive going to the hole. He's a great piece that the Lakers have found.
The overarching theme, see, when I watched the game, I thought to myself, okay, the Lakers they came and they focused and they played their brand of basketball, and it overtook the fast pace, Halliburton style that has taken out two eventual possible finals entry players. I mean, they took out Boston, they took out Milwaukee, like they did that,
and that was
without
no
a
easy task.
shadow of a doubt. It was not an easy task, but what I say is that the Lakers' brand of basketball was on display in this. And then it makes me think like future forecasting. Was this enough to say that they will be able to do it when it really counts in the real dance? I don't know. I'm not really 100% sold on it, but I would say the league has been, let's say, zigging from the residue of Golden State and three versatile big men and three and D and just three threes all day. Where I think that the most efficient thing that a team can do now to be effective, and I think that the league is adjusting to this, and the Lakers should adjust to this, is you need to be a team that says we need to score, and if our strength and our most efficient way of scoring is free throw lines and in, then let us be that team that scores that way and we defend the three. And that's why they won the game. They trapped Halliburton. They got out on the 3-point line with all of our size and our athleticism. And then they just said, Anthony Davis, go to work. Everybody else, you fill in, you score, and put pressure on them on the inner part of the rim. We didn't. I think we might have made 1 or 2 threes in the entire game, but we didn't shoot a lot of threes. And that is a formula of success for the Lakers. I hope that they take this lesson, and because to me, that's the formula that they need to keep. That's the only way that they can get to the championship. I don't know if I believe that they will do it, though. Do you?
Well, what I saw and what I was most impressed with was the diversity of play, of style of play that they did from game to game. Because you got to remember, in the game previous to this against the Pelicans, LeBron hit three-pointers in a row. So the team played three-point ball in that previous game, but knowing that they had the advantage inside, that the Pacers weren't big enough to compete with them inside, they literally stopped shooting threes and they only went inside. And when you can do both, and I think that's what's kind of been lost in the NBA since Curry.
Adjustments
and being able to play the style that's going to defeat their opponent, not just the style that they have. And I believe we see Golden State running to that challenge now. We saw the Pacers run to that challenge today. I was telling you when we were watching the game is that when you're a 3-point shooting team and the threes are hitting like they were for them against the Bucks, then it's absolutely lights out.
Good night, Irene.
Correct.
Yeah.
But when you are not a special 3-point shooting team like Golden State is, with Curry and with that whole ensemble around them, when you're not that prolific at shooting threes, when you're just a good 3-point shooting team, not a great 3-point shooting team, what happens is you can have nights like they had today where that three-point shot just wasn't falling as frequently.
Yes,
as
and
it should,
I give credit to the Lakers defense, because the Lakers, just like, some of the other teams that we've seen, whether you're talking about OKC or Orlando, they just have size at the flex positions, at the small forward, at the guard. So when you have guys that are 6'7", 6'5", 6'8", 6'9", that can go out and flex out to the 3-point line, and whether we're talking about traps or just pressuring, then it makes it difficult when you don't have all these wide open threes and I'm pressuring you. So now you can't just run down and you're going to beat me with pace in transition and then kick out to a wide open three, because we're there and we give effort to that defense. This is almost like great for coaches all around. It was like, hey kids, look at what these guys did. They just said, I'm going to pressure the three and then I'm going to punish them on the interior, and that can win. They, maybe people haven't seen victories happen like that.
Styles make fights. And so one of the thing is when playing the Pacers is if you're shooting long shots, you have long rebounds, which allows them to push the pace.
Yeah.
When the Lakers were hammering and getting the ball down into the key,
yes,
then you had short rebounds or they were just making the layup. So it was reducing the amount of fouls, breaks that they have. This is one of the highest scoring teams in the league right now, and they were held far below their game average because of that. And like you said, trapping Halliburton, and it's been known that Halliburton can have some challenges with larger guards.
Yes.
Remember, Dame is a smaller guard, so whenever he's playing smaller guards, he thrives. He eats them up. And when they're jacking up jump shots instead of getting layups, then allows for the fast break, and they can sit over and play much faster.
Agreed.
So the Lakers, just by how they played on offense, slowed their offense down by not being able to sit over here.
Oh man, look at you! So you're a fellow scout too. Then I see.
I'm a previous player, so I do understand the game in its most intricacies.
You did play in college, so
I did.
I'll give you that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So, but with all that being said, I will say this: a star has been born. And Halliburton is somebody special. We've talked about him on this show and highlighted him before, but really what I see from him is a Magic Johnson-like effect for that team. Not that his game is exactly like Magic, but his enthusiasm, his unbridled energy that he brings, and that he looks to sit over here and get his teammates in the best possible position on the offensive side of the court. I saw him not take open shots, to sit over here and give a teammate a better shot, and that's infectious. The team wants to rally around him. The team wants to run and wants to fight with him, even after a bad game like he had in the championship. And I do think a little bit of that had to do with him hearing his name synonymous with the NBA and with this tournament and with that next crop of stars. All I heard for the last 2 days was the name Halliburton. And sometimes that can sit over here and maybe divert your focus and your attention a little bit. Maybe you're feeling yourself a little bit, because he came out jacking up stuff that didn't look like his normal self. Now, again, the Lakers played a good defensive game plan. But I still believe a star is born.
And I'll give you credit to the point of you saying that a star is born, but I'll give him credit, I should say. I'll give him credit. He did not have the game that he had previously against Milwaukee, but the man still had 20 points, 11 assists on 3 turnovers. The previous game he had, 27, 15 with no turnovers. Mm-hmm. So he may have had to jack up a couple of more shots to get that 20, but and maybe he threw in 5 or 6 rebounds in there. I have to check the stat sheet again, but that is not
rock solid
game. That's a more than solid game. It's just it wasn't otherworldly, and so what he ran into is LeBron James said, "I'm gonna throw on my cape, and then guess what? I'm gonna go put a little juice in my man AD," and AD said, "Oh, okay. This is my time to shine," and he decided to do that. And then their energy, the collective energy of the team, overtook them because they had the right scheme. But he had a good game. It's just I think what we saw is that because he didn't have an otherworldly game, it was guys like Buddy Hield who kind of had a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of got, like Turner had a decent game,
Mm-hmm.
but
foul trouble.
yeah, and Brown who when he was with Denver always hurt the Lakers. He kind of had a pedestrian game.
Turner had an all right game.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just the other guys that would normally hit those threes. The minute that we took that away, they didn't have a pivot.
Right.
And that's what got exposed.
That's what got exposed. And I still think they could be maybe one player away. But I do believe that this is a team that keeping its nucleus is going to be going places. If not this season, then in the seasons coming up.
Yeah.
Really the big question about this season between the two teams, is this a premonition, a forecast for what the Lakers can do in the actual playoffs? That's really the big question for me.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling.
In a 7-game series,
right?
Or are they a team that's really built because of the age of their superstars and what have you, that they need these one-off games where they can give it everything they got just to win it? Can they grind out several 7-game series in a row?
You're right,
to win a championship.
And and I will always say this, just like last week I called AD a shrinking violet, and you slapped me on the head. He's probably still mad at me saying that if he heard it. But listen, the reality is this: the test for him in particular on this team simply is, can you do this against Jokic? Can you perform this way against him? Can you do this against Embiid? Can you perform this way when guys are physically have the girth and height that's equal or superior to you? And can you be so determined to say, I'm going to go inside and I'm going to be the one to eliminate the second chance points and get the extra rebound and go in there and dunk it with aggression? Can you be that guy? And to this point, I would say he has not proven that. And that is still the truth. So as great as he looked, and he looked great, the jury is still out on whether or not he can do that when it matters most. And in a 7-game series, guess what, buddy? You're going to run into the Joker.
And you're, but not just you're going to run into the Joker, but you're going to have a game like this multiple times.
Yeah, you're going to have to do it at least 3
for them to get there.
Yeah.
But let me just piggyback off of what you were just saying. The shrinking violet, part of what we talked about is he's a bully. He plays big when he's playing against smaller players, players that are smaller, slighter, lighter in the behind than he is. Now, when he has to play against those big boys, when he has to play against the people that are as big as him, that weigh as much, if not more than him, is when that violet shrinks.
The shrinking violet.
So it's going to be interesting to see if he can carry this momentum, carry him walking around, making the big ugly faces, and I'm big and tough.
Yes. Hey. And I loved all that. I loved it. I was like thumping my chest with him, and I'm mugged with him.
I'm saying let's go do it again.
But guess what?
When we play Jokic,
go do it again.
When we sit over here and play Philly, when we play these better teams, and these teams with these bigger players, he's going to hear my mouth if he don't sit over here and have the same.
Yes.
If he doesn't do that against them, then we're going to have a problem. I'm going to be right back on his behind.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be with my Tupac voice. Thug life, baby. Or I'm going to be like, thug life.
So let's talk about some disappointments from the tournament.
Yeah,
and one of the biggest disappointments that we saw was not in overall play, but was in the play of individuals. And one of the biggest individuals that was probably the biggest disappointment across the NBA, everybody felt this, and a narrative has now been created around him, is Zion. Not being in shape, not getting his body in the proper playing weight. I mean, this man's walking around here like almost 300 pounds. He's looking like Charles Barkley, but Charles Barkley
didn't even play at 285.
Charles Barkley didn't even play at 285.
Charles Barkley's, I think, what is Zion, like maybe 6'8" or 6?
No, I think he's like 6'6"
at most.
Maybe
so they were
6'5".
the same height. Okay.
Yeah.
So Okay, but you know what? I won't even get on the weight part because I think that the accuracy of what the professionals, the Hall of Famers have said about that is true. But it was the attitude. It was
Mhm.
you expected him to understand the moment and realize that this was his proverbial coming out party. Charles Barkley called it the biggest game of his career, but I think that most basketball fans agreed,
Mhm.
and they said when we look at that team, oh, they were supposed to really scare the Lakers.
Mhm.
And what he
Not lose
did,
by 40.
yeah, not lose by 40, not say, oh, I'm going to just blindly try to batter ram LeBron James and take 3 charges
Mhm.
and then turn into a cloud of dust
Mhm.
because he had no pivot from that. So I
Mhm.
don't know if you blame the coaches. I don't know if you blame him.
What I blame
I don't
is
know.
what I believe is greatness is not based off of physical attributes. It's not based off of skill. Greatness comes from within.
Very true.
Every great player we've ever seen, when we're talking about Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, obviously Michael Jordan, Kobe,
Mm-hmm.
LeBron, these individuals have something great in them. They have a sense of motivation
And
that
the moment they have a sense of moment, they understand this is the time to
right
execute
before
on
we
that.
but that takes place to execute on that. It takes place because of everything that you did before getting to that moment.
Very true.
I'm not quite sure he has the self-discipline, the grit, or again, that greatness gene in him to put in the work and do the necessary things before getting to that moment so he can produce in that moment.
Mm,
He realized that moment was too big for him. He was getting burnt on plays and not running back to sit over here and try to get him, just letting him go right
yeah,
past him.
yeah.
Again, not working on his game to develop some type of move to go to the left, only going to the right. You play against a sharp older player like LeBron, who's seen a million of him. He
Yeah,
knows he can just beat him to the spot or going to the
yeah.
right, and he's going to be able to
He
get
put a,
those
he
charges.
put a master class on him. And you know
Yes.
what? I also want to say this too. Back in, let's say, what we often find is like the Camelot era of basketball, you know, the 80s, even though they were not, let's say, as athletic as these guys are today and as gifted as these guys are today, but there was a such a foundation and understanding of the fundamentals of basketball. And you know that because they weren't getting paid to the level that these guys are now, there was a genuine hunger and a starvation. I need to do this to feed my family kind of mentality with
Mhm.
those guys. And that created the grit that we have all kind of like associated with like the winners,
Mhm.
the guys who've done it.
Mhm.
And it's almost like because he's gotten so much money, and it's not just Zion. This goes across the board. I
Mhm.
thought Brandon Ingram really disappointed, even though Brandon Ingram generally he's always been angry and wanted to take it out on the
Because of the
Lakers
trade.
because of the trade.
Mhm.
But he kind of he succumbed to the moment. I don't see that grit and that hunger because it's like he's made such a ridiculous amount of or was given such a ridiculous contract that maybe he already feels as though he's arrived. It could be this false narrative that goes on in his mind. Irregardless, you know, I'm not to overly psychoanalyze him, but if it's that what I'm saying or if it's something else, he doesn't have that, you know, that eye of the tiger, that, you know, that
Well,
Rocky
he didn't in
analogy.
that game, and I think we've seen it enough. We saw it in the previous game before that when they beat the Bucks, where he did play like an
But
absolute
the eye
monster.
is a consistency thing, right? It's like you
Hmm.
that cauldron is supposed to always burn. That's
Hmm.
supposed to be if we're in practice and nobody's looking, I'm gonna eat you up.
But I think it just shows he's still a cub. He's still a baby
Uh,
bear. He's not a
there it
full
is.
grown grizzly yet. He's still a
Yeah,
baby
yeah.
bear, and he ran up against um, grizzlies.
Yes.
And so I hope that Zion can find a way. I hope this maybe was a wake up call to him that when
I
you
hope so
have
too.
consistently across the board the same exact criticism, everybody saw what he was lacking and everybody spoke on it. I hope he doesn't brush it off like he's brushed off
Yeah.
everything else and sit over here and look within, look to his own self in the mirror to make some changes because this is a team that can make some noise. They're just like the Pacers.
Yes.
This is a team that's up and coming that should be ascending, but I can guarantee you this. it is all directly attributed to where Zion can take them.
Yeah. And I don't care if you want to have fried chicken and biscuits 3 times a day, every day. Okay, go ahead and be 330 pounds. But just when it comes time to play, have that fire.
Right.
Just go ahead and say, I'm about to boo bop everybody.
No doubt.
And then if you don't do that, then it's like, come on, bro. Come on.
Without a doubt.
You doing a disservice to yourself and the city of New Orleans.
Well, let's talk about another team that that I think we can both say underperformed. And this is a team that came into the season with so much expectations on them because of the additions that were made to the team. And when you have a player like Dame, who was added to the Bucks roster to partner with
the Greek Freak,
the Greek Freak, we expected this team to be on a championship level, and I don't think that they're far out of that realm of being able to look at as a true championship contender. But I will tell you, something's missing. You know, after the game, the players had a brouhaha, and it wasn't quite a players only meeting, but some players stood up after the game in the locker room and kind of expressed their frustrations in a very matter of fact and an upset way.
Yeah, they did.
That it's time for them to sit over here and play to the level and to the caliber. And they weren't talking about a lack of skill or a lack of scheme or what have you. It was more about the lack of effort, a lack of being dialed in.
Yeah, well, and Giannis said it. He was lack of organization from his perspective. I do agree that it, not from a locker room experience standpoint, but from an unusual to hear that these reports were leaked, because with great teams you don't ever hear that stuff got leaked, not traditionally. So I thought it was a little disappointing and a bit of a disservice to their head coach to put him on Front Street in that way. But I understand it. The thing about Milwaukee and when they won the championship and what was part of their formula was that they were defensively efficient. They were
a top defensive team
with Holiday being swapped out for Dame. You have to just understand the reality. Holiday is 3 or maybe 4 inches taller than Dame, and he pressures. He could score. He does. Obviously, he's not as a prolific of a scorer as Dame is, but he could really genuinely get after whatever point guard or shooting guard that you put out there. And that sets the table when you have a guy like that, and then everybody else can come around, and that allows the freedom for Giannis to roam and block shots, and that allows them to be organized. Well, guess what? You swapped out that component for a guy who might go nuclear and get 50 in a game, but he's not that guy. He's
not that guy defensively. Now you got to remember, Dame has literally won them 3 or 4 games in this young season.
Correct.
So
who do you blame in that instance?
Well, what we have to do is, one, the front office can't be done. There obviously needs, if you take a big time defender out and you move in a scorer that doesn't have the same defensive prowess, well, that's not enough. You have to add or find another defensive champion to add into this mix to be able to have a net finished product that's greater than what you changed at the beginning of the season. So
because they roll themselves out like they're the Beatles, and they just say, look, me and Dame should be scary enough and we're efficient enough to where we should just be able to roll out there and we both drop 30 and you guys fall. And for the most part, that's what's happened this year. But when they've won, but when they've lost, like the Pacers did, they just said, damn that. And I'm going to force you into having to find a way to stop us. And so,
and when any team puts them in that position, it's going to be a long night for them.
This is why I said, I think even if it was last week or the week before, I said, you know what? I'm not really concerned about them being a genuine threat this year, because I think that they'll figure that out, but I don't think they're going to figure that out this year, especially with a new coach. I actually think that it's Boston And the only real threat to me is Philly. And that's why I said that, because of what we saw.
Well, again, this is a long season like we talked about. So things can get worked out.
Yeah.
We still have some time before the trade deadline.
Yeah, because I can still be wrong
because
hell,
a defender is really, at the end of the day, somebody that's willing to lay it all on the line and bring maximum effort and just understands the fundamentals of playing defense from the guard, from the small forward position.
Yeah.
To sit over here and significantly make an improvement on this team. So again, I don't think all is lost for this season. I still think that they are trying to make this Rubik's Cube all match up to be clean.
Yeah.
It's not there yet. I still have a whole lot of excitement about this team. I just hope that they are actively looking to make some other changes other than just sitting over hoping and wishing that we're going to outscore people or that all magically we're going to get better defensively. There's a missing defensive component on this team that what Drew Holiday represented that has to be replaced.
Yes.
To sit over here and get them over the hump.
And you know, and I guess the flip side of that is what I heard, you know, what we all heard from you know, the Hall of Famers from Shaq and from Charles Barkley. You know, the pick and rolls that they run, I think 60% of the pick and rolls that they run are between their center and Dame. They don't make you die by the Giannis and Dame pick and roll.
But there's
game.
a reason for that. Giannis never played that game, so he has to get better at the pick and roll situation for that to become effective because he's never done it before.
Right.
He's always been the person that catches it at the wing or in the post and sits over his one-on-one.
And I'm on over here and try to monkey dunk on you.
Correct. So his pick and roll game is just simply not strong.
Yeah.
So that's up to coaching to sit over here continuously working with him. That's what Dame spending more time after practice and then working that and him getting comfortable with the four directions you can roll from a pick from either side to get him open to where he can get that isolated one-on-one that he wants. He doesn't understand that pick and roll can be a conduit to that.
Yeah, I feel you. All right, I think we've beat that one.
Well, we beat this whole tournament. It's been exciting. It's been fired up. And so before we transition away from the tournament, you tell me, are there any last words about the tournament or any last thoughts that you want to express?
Only last words. I mean, you know, obviously what I said before about all the greatness of it. I definitely I'm proud of the potential championship medal that the Lakers put forth. I think that it could be a precursor, and I have been down on them this year, and I really just think that they showed, okay, maybe I've gotten everybody on the same page, and it'll be very interesting to see if they can translate this into the regular season, and if this was like almost like a trial run. Like, is this a precursor to what we now know we need to do, or was it just, we just wanted that $500,000 and then we got that, and now we're gonna go ahead and get boo-bopped by all the other teams in the West moving forward? It'll be very interesting to see, but you know, regardless, the tournament should be here to stay, and kudos.
I think success begets success. So I don't think they're going to take a step back. I think this is actually going to galvanize and push them forward. And ones that maybe were questioning, do we have enough here on this particular team? Can this team do it? I think what it did most of all is gave the team collectively the belief that them playing together,
I hope so.
them being led by their two leaders, that they can win and win at the very highest levels in the NBA. And so my last thing is I'm just excited about next year because, you know, obviously this was the inaugural tournament. So there are going to be some tweaks. There are going to be some changes. And most importantly, there are going to be some improvements to the product to make it even better next year. So super excited about that.
Yes, I feel you.
And so speaking on improvements on a product, we have a team that I want to talk to you about that they've not quite lived up to what many people thought they would be or could become
Oh,
because of
I think I need to take a sip on this.
because of their best player.
Okay.
And that's the Dallas Mavericks and Luka.
Mm-mm.
They've been playing well. Luka's been playing absolutely lights out. Unfortunately, Kyrie hurt an ankle. If I'm not mistaken,
man, Mr.
yesterday.
Always hurt. I know.
No. I mean, this was a legitimate. Somebody fell on his
Okay.
ankle. Somebody fell on his ankle, and he's going to be out for a little bit. But Luka's been playing as he almost always does. He's been playing out of his mind.
He really has.
And he always does. And what I really love about that team is that last year, kind of like what the Bucks are going through this year, they're figuring out how to take two dynamic players that are not used to playing with each other, not used to playing with another player that's as dynamic as them, and trying to figure out how that was going to mesh together.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
You know, like you said, it might take the Bucks till next year. Well, it took the Mavs all of last year, or the majority.
Yeah, that
of
was
last
an embarrassing year for them. I think to get them serious.
Mm-hmm. Or things take time.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it took some time for them to figure each other out. And now it's working this year. And this, from any year, I think in the past 5 years, I think this is an actual team that can go deep into the playoffs and could possibly surprise a team like Denver.
And that is the $1 million question there. So I think, yes, Luka has been playing out of his mind. I mean, look, he had a triple-double in the first half against the last team he played.
That's strong.
Look, but Luka's always put up these stupid numbers. He, you know, low-key, he might be my favorite player in the league. You know, even being a Laker fan, like that's how much I like his game and his swag, if you will.
I'll take your Lakers stripes saying it.
No. But I'm gonna root against him every time he plays us. You know, but I like Luka. Just got, you know, I like him, and then I like his little smirks when people talk smack to him, and he's like, "Oh, okay, well, let me drop this 40
like,
on
you're just
you."
mad because I'm eating you up.
Yeah,
that's
you
his
just mad.
go-to line.
It feels very Larry Bird-esque.
Oh, very much so.
Which I've come to love, even though when I was younger I hated Larry Bird. But I digress. The point is that, okay, is it more of the same? Because he's done this, you know, dog and pony show a couple times over for a couple years now. Yeah, he's got new, let's say, supporting cast. And yeah, he's got that. And Irving is there. And Irving and his sometimes hurt, sometimes not hurt. Same thing with Hardaway. Hardaway just came back. Irving goes down. But I think they're playing with a different effort level. Got to give a little bit of love to Jason Kidd, because I see that they're playing with a little bit more, let's say, grit.
I don't think that comes from Jason Kidd. I think that comes from Kyrie, because we have to remember Kyrie has been there.
You think it's Kyrie?
Kyrie has told them or expressed to them what it takes to win a championship. You got to be there to really understand it. And Kyrie is won a championship, obviously, with LeBron back in the Cavs, and can bring that championship experience.
Again, and you think they're embracing it now?
I unequivocally think they embrace it. I think there was some hesitancy about Kyrie last year. You know, obviously he didn't come in there with the greatest reputation after what took place in Brooklyn. And so you come in there, they realize that he is a professional, that he's not just good, but that he's a professional. He's dedicated to his craft, and that he's not selfish, and he's not all these things that the media has tried to paint him to be. And then they can embrace him. They can wrap their arms around him, and Luka can believe in him
a little bit more than they did before.
To where they can sit over here.
Yeah, because last year Luka was like, "Oh, okay, you brought this dude in. He's supposed to be the closer. Well, go on, give it to him then."
Right.
All right. Oh, we still lost. I told you.
Right. Correct. It was a "I told you so" type of deal, and I think that they've grown to respect each other's game, and I think they believe in what they can do together.
Well, okay, all that good kumbaya, good warm and cozy feelings. Does that mean that you think that they're a real threat now, or are they just like an honorable mention and you still gonna get boo-bah?
I unequivocally think they're a threat. I unequivocally think that they're a threat to not just go deep, but remember, you know.
Don't tell me you're gonna say they're gonna win the whole thing.
I say they have the chance to. I would not be putting money behind them. I would not be making a bold statement.
Well, there goes the real thing. Yeah.
No.
I know if you're not gonna put $5 down, then
No. Not, but I would put $5 down that they have a good chance. I think the math, if you did the math on it, that their probability percentage would be
right there.
would be one of the highest in the West. So yeah, I
mean,
feel good about
with all the parity, and we've talked about parity and parity. You know what? I can't argue with it because they really could. Just like the teams that I'm not in love with. I'm not really in love with them. I'm not in love with the Clippers. I mean, I think you've already heard us, or both of us are high on OKC. Where both of us are obviously as Laker fans, we're high on them, but they're all in that same mix.
But you know who I am high on, who I would be willing to bet on, and I don't know what it is because they don't have any of that championship experience on them. But I believe that they have a team, a nucleus that is just the real deal, and I believe this is the up and coming team, and that's the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think this is the team.
Shut the front door.
I would be willing to put money on. And let me just give you a prime example of why. Usually if the Lakers lose LeBron for a week,
we're donezo.
If they play 3 games,
man,
they're going to lose 2, if not 3 of them. Write it down, take a picture. You saw when LeBron goes out of the game for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I'm already screaming at Darvin. I almost say it like a parrot. Darvin, if you don't bring LeBron James back in this game.
Man. But this past week, Ant-Man was out of the game, and they won 2 of those 3 games. And this is a team that without their best player can still galvanize, can still rally around, can still be dialed in and focused and do what needs to be done to win games. And that shows me a lot. That shows me that they have institutional grit. So not with just 1 or 2 players,
that sounds
but across the board.
That almost sounds like, and for premium, if you buy the premium, institutional grit is what you will receive.
Okay. I think that's going to be the team. So super excited about them. Again, I think the Mavs have an outside chance to press Denver. The reality is that who I'm concerned with though is the Sixers. The Sixers have lost 6 out of 10 games. So they're on a down streak after starting and looking so good early on in the season.
They did.
Now the one thing that is a saving grace for them is that they're one of only 2 teams in the entire league that hasn't lost to a sub 500 team. So they're not losing to teams that they should not lose to.
Okay.
But what it's showing me when they lose 6 out of 10 is that there's a ceiling there. And great teams that are going to win a championship don't go on 2-week, 6 out of 10 losing stretches. That just doesn't happen. That means that there's something missing there. And I don't believe that there's any championship grit, championship understanding in that locker room when you're losing 6 out of 10. And I know there have been some injuries and what have you. But.
Okay, so then that's what I was going to touch on is the injury. So, I think their early returns were that they were all healthy, when they made the trade and, they got guys. So when guys like Nicholas Batum are gone for a period of time, they've had 2 or 3 small forwards that are part of their regular bench rotation that have not really been there. And so it's kind of like what we saw with the Lakers. And even though I agree, we're prisoners of the moment when you start seeing these games. And it's like, you're depending on Maxey and you're depending on Joel Embiid and Harris to deliver it all, but they do need to rest some point at some time in the game, and they don't have enough firepower to overcome. But when I would say with them at full strength, they've looked like they can whoop somebody's ass. Mm-hmm. And so I just still think that they're going through this pain right now, but they've had 2 or 3 of their small forwards that have now just come back, and you're not depending upon Marcus Morris or any of them other guys to, provide that backup punch. Now, are they top heavy? They are top heavy as a mofo.
Mm-hmm.
They are super top heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So Joel Embiid, do not get hurt, sir.
I mean,
Maxey, do not get hurt.
But that's why I talked about Minnesota first. Minnesota can lose their top guy, and they still have enough there to win. They have ancillary players getting hurt.
Yeah.
And now, mind you, it's more than one. They're having a couple of them hurt at a time, but they can't
overcome it.
They can't beat the good teams. They can still beat the boo-boo teams. They can't beat the good teams. The upper shelf teams.
Well, but I try to put it in the context of a 7-game series, provided that they have all of their all the semblance of their talent in one unit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're talking about a 4-game series where I can just lock in and look at your scheme and focus in on how you play basketball. I still think that Philly is right up there with Boston. Boston is, in terms of a threat. Boston, I already say, is going to be in the finals, period. I think foregone conclusion, G-Damas, so a.k.a. G-Money, I will put money on the Celtics are going to be in the finals.
I would put money on the field. I'm not saying that the Celtics can't, but I do believe the Celtics are vulnerable, and the Pacers have demonstrated that. The Pacers got in that behind in the tournament.
They did.
And one of those very high pressure, the eyes are all on you moment. And if the Celtics were who we think they are, I don't think they would have lost that game.
Well, I'll say allow me to retort,
please.
Because what I would also say is I think that Boston also said, Vegas is a LA crowd. I may just not care that much about winning this and winning that $500,000. I more or less am concerned about maybe we stay home, because I'm not saying I'm trying to lose the game, but I'm not treating it with the same level of emphasis, because for me, that's a whole trip across the country to go to Vegas for 1 or 2 games and come back. Maybe I just want to get in my own bed and chill out.
Well, then they don't have a heart of a champion.
Well, maybe they don't. And I hope that is true in the finals when the quote unquote my star dream of scenario, the Lakers meet them. But it doesn't mean that they ain't the most talented team in the East. They are the most
talented, unequivocally. Right now, take a picture.
And they should boo-bop. And if they don't boo-bop, Lord help them. If they do not, if they don't ghost car, park the car, they don't, we at the bar. Right. We the Boston Celtics, damn it. You're supposed to have all of those people at the bar going crazy. And if you don't do that and bring it home, at least to the finals, shame on you, because you did everything. The GM did everything. He said, here you guys go.
Literally, he did.
Oh my God.
He definitely did. So, that brought me to, I still believe that the Celtics and the Nuggets, on face value, on paper, are the creme de la creme of the NBA right now. But I do believe both teams are vulnerable. And if these teams don't have a sense of urgency, if they don't fight like they haven't been there before, I think there's some teams that haven't been there before that want to get there are going to sit over and punch them smooth in the nose. And it's just like what Mike Tyson says, what happens when they sock you in the mouth? What happens when you get punched in the mouth?
Yeah.
How do you react?
Yeah, it's a different plan.
Correct. It's a different plan. And so if these teams aren't prepared for that battle, in the Celtics, I just don't know, were they prepared for when the Pacers punched them in the mouth?
Well, I'll say this. I agree with you. That will be interesting. Looping it back to your original point about Philly, I just think of the others, the field, that Philly has enough anger and enough talent on their team, and the anger by losing to that same team, the Boston Celtics, that I think that they will make it a real fight. They'll make it a genuine, bona fide fight to win that. And I don't think that there's another team. I just don't see it with any other team that will have that in a 7-game series, which is why I'm not as concerned about these struggles that they're having right now.
As we go on and finish this one off, I just really want to say, speaking on the tournament for one last time, and then we'll move on for the rest of the season. But I do believe the energy that we saw, the excitement, the pageantry that we saw on television out there in Las Vegas, I think that was a wake-up call for the entire league. I think everybody's sitting on their couches thinking about, wow, we had an opportunity.
Can't go back to Rudy Poot basketball.
Yeah. I think all of them have a renewed vigor and a renewed hunger of getting to that playoff. So I think this just doesn't do what it was asked to do. I think they found a greater motivation overall for the second half of the season because of the excitement and the energy and the chatter across media about this. I think that everybody's saying, "Oh man, I want to be in that mix," and I think we're going to have a greater NBA season every year after the tournament because all the teams that missed out on that are saying, "Well, we got another shot to get up into the playoffs."
Yep.
So super duper excited. I think this was a perfect mind trick. This tournament is going to play a phenomenal mind trick on the overall league to just heighten the level of desire and urgency to get there.
I feel
by
you.
the end of the season.
I feel you. Okay, so now I think, and you know what? I need to pour a little bit because I'm like, you
this
play
is yak. See, I drink this so I can drink this like fish. You over here like
no, sir. I think that I might be in danger later on because I've been sipping this like it's water, and I'm like, oh, this is tasty.
Good, don't it?
This is
good,
tasty. Now, hopefully, I'll let you know in about 3 hours.
Now, would you not rather have this than scotch?
I'm still a Scotch guy, but I'm liquor first. So, this is good. It's good to me.
The VSOP Henny might bring you.
Oh yeah. No. It is tasty though. I'll give it that. It is tasty.
So go and get us out of here. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah. So okay. So before we get out of here, because I know we talked about all this stuff, the tournament, yada, all of it, yada yada. The thing that I find interesting is I kind of wanted to talk about when we touched on the Celtics, but then on Denver, because what I've been seeing with Denver is they've been kind of stubbing their toe a little bit. I really look at, let's say, the past few champions that have gone on to win three-peats. The Lakers. Lakers won the back-to-back. I mean, I can say Lakers all day. But, they're an example of that. But we've also seen that with the Bulls. This is interesting to me to where I'm seeing Denver is now having a problem in their repeat year. They aren't coming with that same fire and that vigor and that energy. And this looks like they're having playoff fatigue. Do you agree with that?
What the team reminds you of, you remember when the Mavericks won it years ago when they beat Bron?
Oh, and then they decided to dismantle the whole team.
Yeah, not the dismantling, but there have been some teams in the past that have won, and it was because it was a good team for that year, but it wasn't a dynasty. It wasn't a team.
Yeah, they
that
just
was going to go on a run.
Yeah, we just powered up for that one.
Right, but let's keep everything in perspective. This is still a top 3 team in the NBA.
I still think the Lakers don't have an answer for them.
I would agree.
I just think that they're looking vulnerable.
They're looking vulnerable, and if AD plays like he played tonight against them in a game 7, well, but that's yet to be seen. And at the end of the day, is they won partly because they were hungry. Jokic had won MVP the 2 previous years, probably should have won it last year, and he had a chip on his shoulder for not winning it. There were a lot of underlying issues that gave them motivation. When that gets satisfied, when you've had your taste of sugar doesn't get you as excited as the thought process on getting to that sugar.
So do you agree with me then?
Unequivocally, yes.
Yeah, you think there's a little chink in the armor right now.
I just think it's a little bit less urgency, and if they don't reignite that fire under their booty, well, they're susceptible to getting beat.
Yeah.
They're susceptible to getting beat. So that's, at the end of the day, is we have to see, like I said, what this tournament did. Them being able to see the Lakers up there. I think they're a team that might not be susceptible to that. It's like,
yeah. No, they're using their white coffee, wiping off of the crumbs from their great dinner, and this whatever. Oh, good job, Lakers.
And if you have that mentality, guess what happens? You are going to get beat.
Yeah.
So the choice is them.
Clubber Lang style.
To be perfectly honest with you, I don't want to see another Denver final. So
no, I think most people don't. However, I will say this with a caveat. Jokic is the best player in the league to me.
He do all that.
It doesn't matter. He's effective, and he is. I don't think he's guardable. And that's the scary thing about him. He's not guardable. He can hit threes. He can hit mid-range. He's not a great defender, but he's an okay defender because he's physically just big. And he can go bang you down low. So what can he not do? And he can pass.
Let him score 60, and I double the next best player and play everybody else tight and let him score 60. Then what you gonna do?
Well, but see, last year Murray played like my entire life is on the line, and he played out of his mind. So if you got two of those guys playing to that level,
I double Murray. And then what you gonna do?
Okay,
is you gonna wilt me for 7 games? You gonna score 107 games in a row?
Well, here goes the grand experiment.
No,
can they do it again?
I would bet against them doing it again.
Well, me too, because of my hate. But my logical brain says,
well, we're gonna see. And like I said, they're still a top 3 team in the league.
They are right. I think maybe now they might even be like a little lower. But we're talking about they might be 6 or 7 right now, but it doesn't matter because, everybody's a game or 2 out. So what? But they do look vulnerable right now. So that's why I wanted to bring them up, because it's kind of like, it's interesting. It's like, are they the bee's knees, or are they the knees of the bees?
Christmas? Who's playing on Christmas?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know that one.
Well, we're gonna let everybody know next week.
Lakers for sure.
Lakers for sure. So I'm very excited to
Lakers Celtics
to see this Christmas slate. When these are island games and everybody's watching them. I know NFL has now brought in some games on Christmas, but I really look forward to see what the landscape of the NBA is going to be over these next couple of weeks.
I feel you.
And I'm just fired up about the NBA. I haven't been this excited about the NBA, and
in a long time. Yeah.
So
I nerd out on it. You've been somewhat dismissive a couple of seasons. So.
I have, but I'm all in with 2 feet and waist deep, and I'm
proud of you.
So with that being said,
Church
on the Move.
Church.
It was great. Hey, we didn't smash it, but we got through half of it.
I know.
Hennessy VSOP, baby. Henny did a great job with
champion
this.
Juice.
I haven't had it in a while, that VSOP Henny, and it's still very nice.
I'm not converting, but I'm close.
Hey, I'm going to get them for you guys.
Oh, man.
Do that cognac. Church on the Move.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
Whoop, whoop.
See you guys soon. I need you to subscribe. I need you to like. I need you to download. And I need you to see us here next week.
All them things he said. Yes, sir.
Ciao.